to get out task 5 and task 6, which is on page 41 of your textbook. I'm going to start off with number 5. Number 5 says, a group of 200 students were asked to name their favorite sport. The pie chart represents their choices. So up here you can clearly see we got baseball, we got swimming, we got basketball, and we got track and field. Now A asks, which was the most popular sport? Well, I can tell visually looking at it that swimming is gonna be the most popular sport because we have 35% and all the other fractions are just a little bit smaller. We ask, what percentage of the students chose basketball? As you can clearly see on this pie chart, that is the only one we do not have a percentage for. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna subtract the whole, which in this case, we're going by percentage. And to identify the whole circle, we're gonna say it's 100%, okay? So we have 100%. And we are gonna subtract it by all the other percentages we got because we're only figuring out basketball. And we know the total is gonna be 100%. So we subtract the whole by all percentages. So 100% minus 30% minus 35% minus 20%. When you do the math, what do you get? The answer is 15%. 15% chose basketball. So that's where it goes. And we're gonna write it in here so we don't forget. 15%. C asks, how many students chose baseball? Now looking back at the problem, it tells us that a group of 200 students were asked to name their favorite sport, so we know that this whole circle represents 200 students. Now, we know that we have 30% of the students that chose baseball. So 30% of 200. What does that mean? So it means, of means basically to times, which we have learned previously. Now 30% of 200, the best way to solve this is to do a fraction. So 30 over 100 times 200. And when you solve this, what do you get? Now, when finding the fraction of the whole, you will get 60 students. Now you know 60 students chose baseball as their favorite sport. D asks, what fraction of the students chose swimming? So we do know the percentage, which is 35%, but now it's asking for a fraction. So what we would do is put 35 over 100. And like I have said previously with pie charts, we always need to have the most simplified fraction for these. So how would you make 35 over 100 simplified? I'll let you solve. When you do simplify it, you get 7 over 20 as the most simplified fraction. So 7 over 20 is the fraction of students that chose swimming. Okay, y'all, let's do task 6. Mrs. Gray spent some money on clothes. The pie chart shows how the money was spent. When looking at this pie chart, you can clearly see that there's a straight line down the middle. That means that we know 1/2 equals 50% and the other half will equal 50%. Now, let's not skip ahead like I usually do. A asks, what did Mrs. Gray spend the most money on? When looking at the pie chart, I can visually see that shirts would be the most money that Mrs. Gray spent money on. B asks, what percentage of the money was spent on shirts? So like I said before, that one half would be 50% and the other half would be 50%. When finding out the shirts, I know that skirts is on the 50% side. So I would subtract 50%, so one half of the circle, minus 15% to get the answer. And what would you get? You would get 35%. 35% of money was spent. Now, C asks, what percentage of the money was spent on pants? Now we're going to find out the other half of the circle. So we got dresses, now we just got to find out what pants is. So we understand that this half has to equal 50%. So you would subtract 50%, just like you did last time, but we're subtracting it minus dresses. 50% minus 20%, because that's what you get for dresses. And what is 50 minus 20, class? It is 30%. 30% of the money spent on pants. Okay, y'all, we got one more, and that is D for number 6. And it asks, if Mrs. Gray spent $60 on pants, how much did you spend all together? So now we know that pants, 30% of the money spent was $60. And we gotta figure out what she got for, or how much she spent all together. As you can tell, I filled out shirts and pants while we were doing this activity. Now, we know that 30% is $60. How would we find out the total of the money spent? What I would recommend doing first is I would do unitary method. So I would want to find out what would 1% be. So 1% would be 60 divided by 30. And 60 divided by 30, class, is 2. Okay, but now we need to find the total percent, which the whole circle is 100%. So I would do 100%. And now I'm just timesing 2 times 100. And you get $200. So now we know $200 was the total amount of money Mrs. Gray spent all together for all of these things. Okay, awesome, y'all. That is it for textbook page 41. We did 5 and 6 today, and now you can move